Hi, my name is Andrew Bell, and welcome to The West is the Best Show. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Shout out to the beautiful human being behind the desk. I feel like people like that don't get enough credit. So his name is the beautiful AJ. His first name is the beautiful. His last name is AJ. So he's a great human being, and I wouldn't be sitting here today looking as beautiful as I do without this guy. So I don't know, quested, like, he's flying around everywhere, like giving talks and meeting important people that he couldn't be with us in the studio today. But I'm excited that I'm here today, and I get to deliver an important message for you guys. I want to talk about capitalism and people. Socialism has become very popular because we had the Democratic Socialist candidate Bernard Sanders, who made a lot of headway in the 2016 election, which I also want to touch on later. But kind of like the whole title of what I want to call this is "The American Dream Functions Because of Capitalism," and it's like a hand and a glove. They fit together. You can't have one without the other. Pardon me. Coffee. I usually don't drink coffee because it makes me jittery. Even though I'm good with other caffeine, it just makes me feel weird, and it fills me up. It makes me weird. I don't know. Anyways, capitalism is awesome. It's very popular to hate capitalism for some reason, which I don't really understand. I think the only way to justify socialism being bad is it's because it's popular. I was talking to West a while back, and he was saying, if I was 18 or 16, I would 100% be like Antifa, like demo, like hard left guy. It's because it's popular, and when you're young, people. Especially as a young, it's incredibly hard being a young person because you're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying to figure out what you like. I remember being a young kid and standing in front of a mirror for 3 or 4 hours a day being like, who the hell am I? Like, I don't like the clothes I wear, I don't like the way my voice sounds, and a lot of that is just like emotional, like, craziness. Once you're an old man like me and you have a beard, you figure it out. But yeah, I don't understand the fact. Well, I find that it's mostly city people. For the most part, I think that people that live out in the country tend to be more grounded and more conservative or traditional values. But I feel that it only makes sense. Like Ben Sharpio, however you want to pronounce his name, he does an incredible case for the difference between socialism and communism because. If you think about, and this is Ben's words. He says, and this is the most apt way I can describe it to anyone, and this is what I use all the time when I'm arguing with people: is capitalism is the most compassionate economic system in the world that's ever been created, because it's like consensual sex. If I don't give you something that you want at the best price, that's the best quality, I'm not eating tonight. I have to sell you stuff that you want. You have to engage voluntarily in this transaction for both of us to be happy and both of us to benefit. That's fair. There's nothing in life is fair, but capitalism is about as close as we can get. With socialism or communism, which is basically the same thing. Socialism is like the retarded cousin of communism. If you're gonna do it, go all out, right? Like, if you're gonna be vegetarian, why not be vegan? Like, you only eat salads, but you're wearing a leather belt, which I don't understand. It's stupid. But it's, communism and socialism is like rape. It's not consensual. The government needs to seize the means of production. It's like, are you crazy? Have you been to the DMV in your entire life? Those are the people that you want running your life. The idea that I'm a libertarian, right down the center, probably a little bit more to the right. The idea that I need to have someone make decisions for me is insane. I think if you're in a relationship and you're kind of like more laid back than the other person, and the other person's like more aggressive and domineering, fine. But I don't want that relationship to be the United States government. Those people are so slow and stupid, it's insane. Because they basically don't understand anything about anything, and they want to talk about how, I know what's best for you. If you vote for me, I'll give it to you. They don't want to give you anything. And all the politicians are corrupt. Because how does someone go into politics? They're making, what, 80 grand a year? Maybe 130. They come out of politics 10, 15 years later worth 10 million or 15, 50 million. How does that happen? It's because there's people doing this thing. Hey, take this money. Put it right here. You tell them, you move forward the agenda that will benefit me and my business endeavors. And then they push those laws. It's why cigarettes are legal. I quit. Jesus. It's the 7th of September. On September 11th, Patriots Day of last year, 2016, I quit. I had my last cigarette. I haven't smoked a cigarette in almost a year. It'll be a couple days. So another clap for me or whatever. Which is weird. I'm strongly debating spending money on cigarettes again, which is stupid. Yeah, I want to pay money to kill myself. No offense to the people who smoke cigarettes. I just didn't. It's a lifestyle choice, man. You smell like burnt raisins or whatever all the time. But yeah, like how are they able to get away with like literally selling? It's so funny, like Star Wars, where he's like, "You want to buy some death sticks?" It's like the same thing. Like it's what is it? It's like what is that Ty Lopez guy? Like, here in my garage, he always talks about a nation is born stoic and dies Epicurean, where it's like if you're willing to trade long-term gain for short-term value or like feeling or justification, it's a poor way to live. And I think that a lot of the socialism stuff is that same kind of crap where it's like it seems like a good idea because it feels good. And the idea of, I think the why it appeals to people, communism or socialism, for instance, is because it's more compassionate, it's more fair, which is not true. These people who are for this kind of stuff, they don't actually believe the things that they're saying, because if they did, I feel like they're very convicted in what they believe. They're just very strongly misled by people who are, in often cases, more smarter than them, leading them the wrong way to benefit their own agenda. They're using them as a pawn in their game, which is why what is it? What did I think it was Elvis that said, being stupid is like being dead. It's hard for everybody except for you. And I think that if you're ignorant in a lot of things, it's easy because you don't have to stress out about it. But I was just talking to AJ like not even 45 minutes ago. The United States debt is $20 trillion. $20 trillion. Do you have that amount of money in $100 bills? Couldn't fill up the studio. It is an astronomically large amount of money. It probably couldn't fill up a 18-wheeler. The 18-wheeler cargo dealios that they have on the back of the deals, it probably couldn't fill up those with $100 bills. It's probably the size of a small building in $100 bills is what we owe. And if China, who we owe a large portion of money to, called the debt, they're like, hey, we gave you a bunch of money and you need to give it to us back right now. You know what? We would all be speaking Mandarin because we'd be screwed, basically, which is scary. And the idea that the government, who has been handling our money so poorly up until this point, it's like, hey, I'll give you a second chance. It's not a second chance. It's like the 50,000th, 20th billionth chance. They're stupid. They don't know what they're doing. And have you, like I said, have you ever been to the DMV? Have you ever been to any government establishment ever? These people do not care about anything at all. Ever. They literally just, they're pikers. They wait out the clock, and then they take their 4-hour lunch or whatever, and they can't get fired, and they're all bloated and lazy, and they don't give a shit about anything, which is infuriating, because I'm like super like pro-capitalism guy, obviously, and it's like, dude, you go in, this is how real life works, okay, for those kids who are like, pro-socialism, brr, 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 brr. When you start a business, it's very hard. It requires an enormous amount of money and an enormous amount of energy. You have to, if you're not willing to work 18 hours a day and not make any money for 5 years, you don't have what it takes to build a business, basically. And that is the prerequisite to not even have a successful business. It's not a successful, just to have a business that's going. There's 20 million small businesses in America. There's 30 million small businesses in America, rather. I'm sorry. 28 million of those either lose money or make no money. And then of those 30 million small businesses in America, I believe that less than, like, it has to be less than 70%. I haven't seen the statistics in a month or two. That they have less than 10 employees. The difference is with capitalism. Let me paint this scenario. My name is Rick, right? Rick decides that he wants to open up a business. Now, Rick has been working very hard for 20 years, and he's saved all his money. He's kissed ass. He's worked super hard. He's, you have to come in late. You have to work Christmas weekends. He's like, I'm sorry, babe, I love you, but I can't be at the recital. I can't do this stuff. He's worked literally 18 to 100 hours a week for 20 years. He has enough money, not a lot, but enough money to make a play. So he decides, you know what sounds better than retiring? Taking a incredibly stupid risk and sinking all of I've ever worked for, all of my time and energy, into something that I'm sure 90% won't work. Let's do it, right? So then he decides, you know what, I've always fancied furniture. So let's go and there's this, I live in, Portland, Oregon, and we're going to go have an artisan chair shop. And so we're going to make chairs. Excuse me. So Rick decides, I'm going to start making chairs. So he quits his job. He's old at this point. Let's say he was 20, so he's 20. So he's 40 years old, right? He shaped a chunk of change, worked really hard, kissed ass, whatever. So he has his money, and he decides, I'm going to go start out of my garage, procure a storefront. I'm going to get all the proper tools. If he's been an enthusiast, I'm sure he had some, but not all of them. Maybe even he needs to get professional-grade equipment or commercial-grade possibly. He needs to have the storefront. He needs to have advertisement. He needs to have a website. All this costs tons and tons and tons and tons of money. And you're running negative at this point. This dude is probably $400,000 in the hole. And then you'll do the Grant Cardone business thing where you go, okay, I need to buy a $13,000 hacksaw or whatever it is. I'm going to put it on a credit card and not pay for it. It's because when I start making money and my clients start paying me for the product that I'm giving them, then that will help pay down that debt. So you leverage yourself, and you have to go balls out. You have to be very, very ballsy. So Rick buys this $13,000 saw. He's spent $400,000. He used it all, and then now he's leveraging debt. And so now his business is starting to get traction. Let's say Rick is spending $400. It was Portland, Oregon, so it's probably $40,000. His business expenses is $40,000 a month operation, right? And let's say he's making back 26 out of the 40 that he's spending. So he's negative. He's negative every month by at least $12,000. So then he decides, you know what would be better? For me to spend even more money and hire someone. So because this is Portland, Oregon, he hires somebody with dreadlocks who's super excited to be at work. So then he hires Timothy. So Timothy comes and works with Rick. Now, Rick teaches Timothy all about how to make chairs and all this kind of shit or whatever. So they start working really hard. And so they start making, now there's two people making chairs. So then the profit, after like 2 months, he probably loses more money than he was making. So he's probably making about 20 because, Timothy's messing shit up and he's not, the best. So he's having to groom him into being as good as Rick is. So then they both start making stuff and it's working. So now instead of his expenses are 40, let's say their margins are better and they're getting more profitability. They're using more materials, obviously, because there's two people. Say the expenditures went up to $50,000, and then instead of just $26,000 in profitability, they're making sort of 26. So let's say it's $60,000. So he's making positive $10,000 a month, right? Finally, let's say after 5 years, maybe, if he was working super, super hard. So now, not only was he basically working for free for 5 to 7 years to get it busy, but now that he has this employee, and Timothy starts to feel like he's not appreciated because he's making him work super hard, and he's only getting paid $10 an hour or whatever the minimum wage is in Portland, which is incredibly frustrating. But Timothy doesn't understand all of this crap that Rick had to go through. And then, so let's say, best case scenario, another 5 years later, boom, it explodes. The whole business skyrockets. He becomes the bee's knees when it comes to making handmade chairs. He becomes super popular, super profitable, has a huge company, skyrockets. Rick is on the cover of the Handmade Chair magazine or whatever. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever, plus investments because Rick is smart. And then all these people go, how damn greedy is Rick? Rick has all that money, and he's not sharing it with any of us. Now, if we look at that scenario, that seems initially true, that say he has $100 million. Rick basically hangs out at his house all day long. Rick's, 56 now, something like that? Now he's able to retire. Well, because he made a play and it turned out well for him. But most cases it doesn't. After 10 years, 95% of businesses fail? So let's say he made it, which is very rare. And let's say he turned a profit, which is also very rare. This is probably 2% of businesses, maybe. Then people want to talk crap about Rick. Rick is awesome. I think Rick has bigger balls than the person sitting behind the computer saying, well, it's not fair that, Rick is making all this money and I get paid minimum wage for minimum skills and minimum labor. You have minimum attitude, you have minimum excitement. Dude, what else do you think they're going to pay you, dude? This is what you need to do. If you want to be successful, you basically have to find some. This is what they don't teach you in school. If you want to be successful in business, you have to go find someone who's successful in business and steal their shit. You have to copy everything. They teach you in school, don't copy. You have to copy. You have to go in there, work for free if you can, jump in an elevator with a CEO and be like, hey, let me sell you myself for 20 seconds. And it's super hard for people because most people aren't good at sales. They hate sales. Sales is everything, guys. I'm selling you right now. I'm selling you this, all this. This is all sales, right? Everything is sales. You can fight it all you want. The only way you're going to be successful is in sales. And you basically have to be able to sell people on yourself. I used to be crazy. I used to play in bands. And I have a bunch of tattoos. I have over 20, 30 hours with tattoos. And I've calmed down a little bit. But I have to sell people. I have to sell myself, first of all, every single day. I am successful. I am worth success. I'm working super hard. I deserve the things that are nice in my life. Because you don't get the things that you deserve. You get the things that you tolerate. So if I don't tolerate not driving a nice car, I'm never going to get one. Which sounds etherealistic, basically. But it's super important. And taxes comes into a big play. Because if Rick is working super hard and he's not keeping a certain amount of money, it's a big deal. And the taxes is the way, it's the way that they leech off of productivity. The government doesn't make money. They print money, right? But they don't create revenue. They steal it from other people, which is why I've been a libertarian since I was 17 years old. So, taxes is a huge thing. In places like Denmark, I just looked this up. Denmark, the marginal tax rate in Denmark of a population of only 5.6 million people is 51.96%. So, there's only 6 million people, which is smaller than DFW, right? And they take half of everything that they earn, right? Let's say even if the average person there makes $100,000 a year, you're only taking home 50. In the United States, the richest country on planet Earth, 2/3 of us are living paycheck to paycheck. The average person has $16,000 worth of credit card debt. It is retarded. But in Denmark, these people, the lowest tax rate is 36%. So at best, they're taking over 1/3 of all the shit that you make, all the spoils and toils. And then somebody will go, oh, that's because, they get free health care and they're better than us and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But still, even if, I don't trust the government. And if you do, you're stupid, basically. It's like the guy who's super, likes the principal at school. It's like you're retarded and you'd get your face punched in by everybody. So basically, like I said, the entire deal. And the reason why business owners are able to make so much money is because they are able to leverage themselves. You're able to take a risk on a person, have it pan out, and then get a percentage of the efforts from them. And it's the whole game. And the reason why Donald Trump and all these people get a low tax rate is because the government goes, hey, Rick or small business owner, we want to create jobs. So in order for us to do that for you, we're not going to take as much of your money, so that way you can put it back into your business. So if we're instead of taxing you a fuck ton, what we're going to do is you're going to hire these 30 people, and we're going to tax them all at 10%. So that way they get 100% tax off of these 10 people, right? Percentage of tax, instead of if you were to charge him 50. So even if he's making 100 and they're all making 20, they're still making more money because they're skimming the pennies off the top of all the people he's able to employ. That's why business owners make so much money. It's because they take risks, they have huge balls, and they are in the system that benefits that. So the whole point is you need to work hard, you need to get promoted, save your money, build something for yourself, buy a home, and pass that success on to your children. There's a quote, I forget who it was. It was either Warren Buffett or Bill Gates talks about, if you're born poor, that's not your fault. But if you die poor, that is 100% your fault. Because business is the best. And basically, like I said, America is the place for business. If you go to like the UK or any other places, there's so much government regulation. Oh, well, like in places in Canada, there has to be like a certain amount of French to English ratio in some of these provinces. It is retarded. It's insanity. Like, why do you, like, this is what you're paying these people for. You pay these people tons of your money so that way they can put up a sign that says, caution, this sign is sharp. It doesn't make sense. It's a circular thing that doesn't even make sense. So, and it's like the deal where, like, socialism and communism is for weak people. It's like the stupid kid in class who you get partnered up with, do a group project with, that literally doesn't contribute anything, and then goes, well, I want to be with the smart kids, so that way I know that they're going to get a grade and I'm not going to have to do anything. Communism is for lazy people, right? And there's some people that are pro-communism that are super lazy. I think that's most of them. And there's people that are pro-capitalism that are lazy. And I think that they're pro-capitalism because they're lazy is because they want to work super, super hard, like Rick, and have something so they never have to work again. But the deal is with these people that want communism and socialism, what they're telling you and me is that I'm so stupid I can't make decisions for myself, take all of my money, and you decide what I get to eat, you get to decide what I get to wear, you get to decide everything about my life. It's like some Matrix-ass shit. Why do you want that? No one actually wants that. I don't feel like these people even actually want that. There's a lot of, like, transgendered and homosexual people, which I like those people. But they're almost, like, 99.99999% of them are like, the government, like, you need to be socialism and communism. It's like, do you understand that in Soviet Russia, they're, like, literally will beat the shit out of you just because you're gay? Like, if you're gay, if someone thinks you're gay, like, 15 people will come up to your car and, like, pull you out of it and beat you to death. And then the government will go, he was gay. We don't really like gays around here. And, like, that would be the end of the story. Like, Putin would yawn. Like, no one gives a shit. In America, you can be whatever you want. But the deal is you can't tell people what they can't be. And that's the whole point why I'm a libertarian. Right in the center. I fight with some of these neocon guys and some of these, I agree with most of the paleocon stuff. And then, like, I think more the farther left you go, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't like the neocon shit where it's like, the United States should take over the planet, and we need to be a military superpower, and we should police the planet. It's like, what? No, that's stupid. I mean, the right-wing death squad memes are funny or whatever, but and then the left guys are like, oh, we need to, the government needs to be in charge, da-da-da. But it's really the same points at both the end. It's they want more control. And in the center, in the libertarian deal, it's like, I just want to take over the world so I can leave everybody alone. This is Austin Peterson's campaign slogan, who was the first homosexual and youngest person to ever run for president, that I was this close to voting for, but he got beat out by that douche Gary Johnson, that loser. I hate Gary Johnson. He's such an idiot. Which brings me. I want to talk about something very important. I know some of you may be surprised by this, but I voted for Donald J. Trump in the election, and why is that? As a libertarian, I really, really, really wanted to vote for the libertarian candidate. And as the election became more and more heated, well, the first time I ever heard that Donald Trump was going to be running for president, I was like, oh, is this like a joke or something? And then I was like, wow, it's an incredible PR move. I think if you're running a business, everybody should run for president. automatically the entire population of the planet gets to look at you. But so then I was like, okay, whatever, he's running. And then so I looked at it, I'm like, dude, I just don't like it. The guy's too cocky or whatever, this and that. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. I was kind of whatever, but I was like, dude, we got to get this libertarian thing going, and even if my vote doesn't count, it'll push the party forward, which was basically stupid. So I started doing more research in this and that, and I was like, you know what, I see a lot of this bad stuff about Trump going on, and instead of being a headline reader and trusting people that I don't know to give me information, I'm just going to look it up myself. And so I just started doing a lot of detail-intensive research on a lot of statistics and this and this and this. And I think it's called being red-pilled or something. When you actually look at these statistics, it's staggeringly disturbing. If you look at this stuff where it's like, you know, the crime rate in the African-American community, and there's a billion different reasons for that, right? It's a huge problem. How are we going to fix it? We need to do something about it. You know, there's a lot of illegal immigration. Huge problem we need to be addressed by. I love Mexicans, and so does Donald Trump, believe it or not. The deal is, if they were illegally migrating from Canada, it would be a problem, and we should build a wall there if they were doing it. The deal is, people scream, racist, racism, Donald Trump is a racist. It's like, what? No, like, didn't he get kicked off of a golf club because he was pissed off they wouldn't let his black friend play or some shit like that? He got an award by the ACLU in the 80s, and he was hanging out with Al Sharpton and all those guys. It's insanity. The deal is, he's not a racist. Like, he hangs out with Ben Carson all the time. The deal is, he is a genuine guy. He has tons of black friends, tons of Mexican friends. I believe that he has the United States' best interest at heart, which is why I voted for him. And it's funny, because if you look at the statistics, it came out right after the election, where it was the percentage of chance for someone to keep a friend who voted for the opposite person. So if it was you voted for Hillary Clinton, what was the percentage that your Republican friends would still be friends with you, and then vice versa if you were a Democrat and your friends voted for Trump? And it was like 87% of people who voted for Hillary Clinton that found out their friends voted for Donald Trump weren't friends with them anymore. How shallow and shitty of a person do you need to be to base your but the deal is, I say that, but that's not what they hear. They hear Donald Trump's racist, he wants to send black people back to Africa, which it's unfathomable, right? And then it wants to send all the Mexicans back and stuff, which we'll see what happens and if that happens. But it's all this craziness, and it goes, that's who you think I am? Even if I was friends with a person in the KKK, which is Latin for circle of friends, by the way. Ku Klux Klan, rather. If I was friends with a KKK member, does that automatically associate me with the KKK? I guess that makes that have ties. But just because, that's a very deep-seated issue, and if they actually believe that black people are inferior, they're obviously retarded and don't know anything what they're talking about, and they're obviously evil people. But I'm just saying, to even have an acquaintance or someone that you're associated with, like, why does that automatically make you blood red? I think it's stupid, and I think that there's a lot of overreacting on the other side because they don't want to, and it was called cognitive dissonance, where someone's confronted with information that contradicts their beliefs, and they often become even more steadfast in that belief, where it goes, Gavin talks about this all the time, 80% of women that cross the border get raped. 80%. That is an astronomically large amount, as a huge percentage. Like, they just take birth control before they go out across the border because they just know they're going to get raped. Like, 12 years old. The age of consent in Mexico is 13. It's like a dirty shanty town. I used to live in El Paso, and I'll be vacationing there in a week or two. And the place is basically, El Paso is pretty crime-ridden for the first part. But there's this mountain where you can take a trolley and go over the top, and you can look at it, and you can see out into Mexico. And the whole thing, it's just they're burning tires to stay warm, and like there's smog and soot and so dirty. And this is Juarez, right? Juarez is like the top 3 most dangerous places to be in the entire world, basically. And it's bad. Like, it's a third world country. No shit they want to come here. I understand. Like, in my personal opinion, we should make the path to citizenship easier. The reason why people are willing to die to come, they're willing to die. They're willing to come here, and despite the fact that they probably will die, coming here to just be in America. And that's awesome. And I'm excited that you're able to do that. The deal is, you should do it legally. And then I had this I was talking to my roommate, and my roommate goes, did you see all these people that are looting stores in Houston because they don't have any food? And I said, no, but that's not surprising. And she goes, do you think it's wrong that these people are breaking into stores and looting? I said, absolutely. Of course it's wrong. It's not their stuff. They're trespassing. They're destroying things. They're taking things that aren't theirs. They haven't earned it. They haven't paid for. So you're saying that you wouldn't do it? Of course I would do it. I would kill another human being and then cook them alive and feed them to my children if they were hungry enough. The difference is, I know it's murder and cannibalism. I would do anything it took to provide for my wife and kids when I have them. But to moralize this down to the point where it's the behavior is justified, and then you gloss over and pretend that the bad things about it don't exist, is a huge problem. And I don't think anyone should do that with anything. And you have to understand that that's why it's bad. We like the fact, dude, like, what was it, Tucker Carlson? He said this in an interview when he was, not an interview, one of his speeches when he was talking to a bunch of firefighters. He said, everybody loves immigrants. They work super hard, they're super nice, and they're cool people for the most part. They don't want to go back, obviously. And the deal is, the question is with taxes and immigration. The narrative has always been, more is always good, and if you question anybody who says anything about it, then they're a bad person, which is insane. There's so many non-thinkers when it comes to the government, which is like, why are you giving these people your money? I'm not a tax evader type person. I'm just saying, I do believe taxation is theft. I understand it's required for a certain amount of things, but like, as a libertarian, we can privatize all of that shit, and it would run more efficiently for less money. Look at look at NASA, how slow and bloated and stupid it is, and then look at SpaceX. Wasn't around 10 years ago, and then it's done literally better than NASA in just those few years it's been around. We've got slightly better jets and airplane, but like, people, like, look at Bezos and all these dudes. They're taking people to the moon and all this kind of crap. It's insanity, because capitalism, they're fighting each other. It's all this competition, and we need to be the best, and who has the most market share. It's insanity. I don't understand. And so where Trump won me over in the election was when I saw Gary Johnson, and I was watching all the libertarian debates, and he was talking. He said the stupidest thing that, like, made me go, I don't like Gary Johnson at all. Austin Peterson, who's my homeboy. I love Austin Peterson. He said in a debate with him, would you force, they were talking about the bake the cake thing, and he goes, would you force a Jewish baker to make a Nazi cake, right? Because in the libertarian school of thought, there's this thing called the NAP, which is a non-aggression principle, where you should be able to do anything you want as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else. And now, hurt is a very broad term. So we have to, the NAP, does this violate the NAP? So it's like this huge thing. But you have to understand the market. So it's like, okay, if I'm a Nazi and I want a cake, I can go to this Jewish baker, but if they tell me, screw you, go out of here, it's their right to do that. But it's also my right to take my business somewhere else. So you have to understand that. And so I was like, man, I can't do Gary Johnson, because what he said was, it's my contingency that, yes, the Jewish baker should make the Nazi cake. I think morally they probably should turn the other cheek and be nice or whatever and do it, but to force them is absolute insanity. Plus, he's like a crony capitalist kind of guy who's I don't like it. So basically, Trump was like, he just started being obnoxious and loud and crazy, and I was like, dude, you got to scream and get attention, bro. I liked it, and so I didn't understand basically what he was doing for the most part, but then I understood it. He's running that thing like a business, man. It was all attention. It was all controversy. He was speaking the way that nobody as a presidential candidate or president has ever spoke before. They talk like a normal human being. If you watch all the things of Obama, he has these weird pauses when he would say things, because it's like very refined, and like he was very like thinking through what he was going to say. And then George W. Bush, like, he would do that same thing. But with Trump, he's just like, well, whatever, like, my hands are too big, I can't put on the gloves to help feed people. Like, he's hilarious. it's insanity. I like him a lot, and when I went to the ballot, I was so torn because I'd seen all these statistics, and I was like, okay, well, I'm a libertarian 100%, but I can't vote for Gary Johnson, but I think I have to. So I went into the voting thing to go vote for Gary Johnson, and I'd seen the news, whatever, where George Soros was changing I'd seen people take videos, and they're like, Donald Trump. They were clicking it, and it would switch over to Hillary. And I'm like, what the hell? So I was like, dude, there's no way in hell I'm getting on the computer. I have to do a paper one. So we get on the paper one, and boom, there it is. I didn't think that Gary Johnson was going to be on the ballot. I didn't think that. I went in there wanting to vote for Gary Johnson, even though I hated his guts because he was associated with the party. Or do I vote for Donald J. Trump, who I think has a better chance of winning? So I literally stared at it for 5 minutes, and I go, straight R. Like, even there was some libertarian people lined up for like local stuff or whatever, but I just went straight R. I'm not a Republican, but I felt like it was the best thing to do. So I was like reluctant or whatever, but I did it, and then things started getting heated. And so once I was on the Trump train, man, 100%, I started watching the debates, and I just was like, my eyes opened up. I was like, this Hillary Clinton lady is like straight evil. Like, she like all these 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 deaths that you can't explain that are all around her campaign. You can't explain where any of this money comes. These huge companies are basically feeding her tons, hundreds of millions of dollars to campaign and all this shit. Countries like Saudi Arabia that throw gay people off of buildings are funding her to go do these activities, right? And these people, like, they just lined up, just gay people lined up. Yeah, Hillary, oh my God. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't understand that. So then he won, which I wasn't really expecting. Is it bad for me to say that? I don't think anybody expected him to win. And I went to sleep. Because it was rolling or whatever. I was at work, and so like all my coworkers were like, "Where's it at? Where's 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 it at?" And we were like refreshing that thing like every 60 seconds. Where's he going? Where's he going? Red state, red state, red state, blue state. Shit! So it was like this whole thing where it was like super anticipated, and so it was like midnight, and I'm like, dude, screw this, I'm going to sleep. So I wake up, and I'm like, it's either gonna be really bad or really good. And I just bought a gun. I had bought a Smith & Wesson Shield 9mm. I love that thing. And I was like prepared, like she's gonna go door to door getting guns and shit, and so I was ready. And I pull out my phone, and I couldn't fucking believe it. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. I was like, what? Oh my God! I felt like it was Christmas. I was like, this is the best day of my entire life because he's the only dude. Like, what did his son say? He's the only guy that took a step down to become president. Right? The dude could do anything he wanted. At all. And then now he has like 1,000 people at all times telling him what he needs to do. I think it's awesome. I think that, like, he has an incredible sense of humor. I think he's a genuine guy. I think that he comes off like uncouth with the way that he says things, but I like it. Like, I think that have you ever like tasted like something that's supposed to taste like something real? It's just like super refined and fake, and it's just bullshit. Like, the real taste, the real flavor is better. And I think that it's amazing. And you see these Hillary Clinton supporters and these Bernie guys, or these Bernie bros that are all like crying and stuff. Hilarious. They're like, I'm with her, and like Madam President had already been printed out on those Time magazines. Hilarious. I love the fact that, like, they say his approval ratings are so low, which I don't believe, because they pull people that don't like him on purpose to get those numbers. And they look at it, and like everybody hates him. And if I was too young to vote, and I couldn't vote, I would love Donald J. Trump afterwards. Because there's tons of people that voted for Hillary or Bernie and then convert afterwards. Because they're like, dude, everybody hates this guy. Because he's the only one that has our interest at heart. He's the only guy that goes, dude, we need to start putting ourselves first. We're the biggest, baddest boys on the block. We need to start eating first. We need to start doing all this stuff. For too long, we've been sending food and money to people that hate us. They want to kill us. If they were in the same spot as us, they'd be stepping on our skulls like what's his face in the movie American History X. They would be like destroying us. But we're on top, baby. America's back. We're the best. I'm so excited. I am jacked up. I'm on cloud nine all the time. And it's interesting because if Hillary Clinton had won, I'd be like, wow, that sucks. And then like it'd be like what, another 4 years of the 8 years of Obama were all just like nail biting. Where like he just kind of like looked pretty and like didn't do anything. Except for, what was he? Like, Obama was actually a warmonger. Did you know that? He dropped so many bombs that it was equivalent to one every 20 minutes. Really? Yeah. It's insane. Like, so many people have this romantic idea of who these people are. None of these people have your best interests at heart, folks. So you have to really be aware of what you're doing, what's going on with the country. I know so many people that are happily ignorant, and it's so stupid. Like, it's like me making something and handing it to you, and you have a ton of allergies, and I'm like, hey, eat this. Well, what's in it? I don't know. I made it. I don't remember. And then I hand it to you and like, eat this. Even if it's your only option of food, you're not going to eat it. Because you say you have all these allergies or whatever. If you don't know what's going to eat, you have to know what's going into your country. You have to know what's going into your body and all this kind of stuff. It's super important. You need to have control. And the difference is smart people want control. They want to debate you. They want to understand things better. They want to be proven wrong. But these people who are romantic and naive, basically, they just want it to be best case scenario and lollipops and rainbows. And that's not the way the world works. And I contributed to a lot of this, like these last place trophies and stuff, where people go, they've never lost in their entire lives, basically, and they get out there and well, this isn't fair. Well, this isn't this. Well, why not this? And he has a bigger piece of pie than me. It's like, listen, if your argument is that things are unfair because someone else has a bigger piece of pie than you, go bake your own pie, you loser. That's it. Like, that's the American deal. You make your thing, you control it, you're in control, you have the power, you call the shots. That's what it's all about. You're happy. The more free you are, the more happy you are. If someone started coming in and dictating your life, no one would like it. And these people are pretending that they like people telling them what to do, and they actually don't. And it's stupid. So,
we have William Batts on the line.
We have a caller?
We have a vehement call. I don't see his face.
William Batts is on the phone.
The first one in our vehement call.
We're going to see what's up with William.
It looks like he set his phone down and it's looking up at the ceiling.
William. Hello, William. Are you there? Willie!
But
My coffee's cold, and I don't like it.
here we have a Will right there.
Willie! I can't hear you, Willie.
He's not there. He called in, but it looks like he set his phone down.
William has set his phone down. I'm very loud.
Is that his face at the bottom left corner?
I don't think that's William. I think it's frozen. The tree's not even moving.
I think he opened it and closed it. Okay.
I guess we don't have William on the phone. Oh well. We could have. William, I was so excited to hear from you, brother. I was excited to see what you had to share with us today. But perhaps another time. I hope you call back and say nice things to me instead of yelling at me. Most people like to be negative and complain about stupid things, and it's easy. It's easy to complain about stupid things and complain and all this kind of crap. But the deal is, it's hard to look for the good in things and be positive. Gandhi, be the change in the world that you want to see. So many people say that kind of stuff, but how often do you like pick up the change of the stranger who dropped their stuff at the cash register or the cash register at the grocery store? Or how often are you the guy who walks all the way back inside to return your cart after shopping? You're taking away someone's job, sure, but like they have 50 other carts they can do that because no one else doesn't. So like it's just that little stuff. And like if you believe in the butterfly effect or whatever, like it all helps out for the greater good anyways. So man, I'm really bummed out. I wanted to talk to William. Maybe he was gonna come on and be pro-socialism and communism, and we could have yelled about it. But I have a couple comments here from people, but nothing important. Someone just told me not to buy cigarettes again. hilarious. So I'll probably do that. I'll probably, like, at worst case scenario, start chewing nicotine gum, maybe. But yeah. Well, I guess that's all the time that we have today. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to me yell at you guys about communism, socialism, and why you need to build a business. So, yeah, this is the West is Best show. Check out our stuff on westisbestmagazine.com. Tune in every week. We're going to have at least one live show every week. Probably on Thursday is what it's looking right now. West LaFurvey could not join me, unfortunately. Traveling the world, signing autographs on babies and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully we'll be able to shoot a show for you guys this Saturday. There's an event coming up, some kind of rally, which I'm unaware of. But we're gonna see. We're gonna have a correspondent on the ground. We're gonna have a reporter. I believe it might be Nicholas DiCarlo. Not sure. We're gonna see. We're gonna try to lock down a correspondent to go to big events and rallies, and then we're going to have them on this big old beautiful screen behind us, so that way they can come in and share what's going on and maybe interview some people, and they can help me roll out this hour long of time, so that way you don't have to listen to me complain for an hour and a half every week. So hopefully this Saturday. If not, I will see you guys next Thursday with my beautiful co-host, God willing. We'll both be here wearing something interesting. I think we need to coordinate our outfits. Weston, if you're listening to this, we need to wear suspenders or something crazy. So think about that. Let me know what you want to wear, sweetheart. Love you to death. But do we have a call? Yes, no, yes, no. All right, we're out of here. I love you guys. Bye-bye.